It's the Channelmom Show with Jenny Dean Schmidt. We're here for you.
Okay, I say this every time we play ABBA, but I love ABBA.
I know. What do I say every time?
You say something about going...
ABBA.
ABBA, that's right. Okay, ABBA. Hey, welcome back to the Channel Mom Show, where we are here for you, Mom, on Mile High Sports Radio, AM 1510, FM 93.7. We have a fabulous guest today. Kay Warren, the author of Choose Joy Because Happiness Isn't Enough, and she's got some really good stuff for moms today, I think. Welcome back to the Channel Mom Show, Kay Warren.
Thanks. It's good to be with you.
Good to be with you, too. We were talking in the break, Kay and I. She says that her husband, Rick, who a lot of people know, is a Tigger, and she's an Eeyore. I'm a bit of a Tigger myself. Can you tell?
Yes, you're a Tigger.
No, never. Never would have noticed that.
Although I can also get really down and frequently. So
yeah.
I have both sides to me. But
Well, yeah, we're not a pure mix. We're a mix. We're mutts. All of us. We're mutts.
yeah, we are mutts. That's a good. I'm glad you're willing to say that, because some people just want to categorize us. If there's any mom or any dad or any child out there listening, I want you to know that I think everybody struggles with this in modern day America. We just don't feel happy, or we're just blue, or we think we don't feel good enough about things, or life isn't turning out the way we thought it would, or we're going through real tragedy. We've lost a spouse, or we've lost a child, or somebody's very sick, or we've been diagnosed with something, or you know what I mean, or somebody's dealing with obesity or alcoholism or whatever it is. And Kay is here to say, in the midst of all that, honestly, really, she has learned that you can still choose joy. Shelley has a question first, and then we're going to get to your own personal stories about some difficult things you went through. Go ahead, Shell.
Can you teach this idea to... Could I teach this to my children? Or
absolutely. Oh, and please do. Start with your kids. Sorry, I interrupted you. What did you finish your question?
Well, how would I go
and
about
how would you do it? Well, I think that so much about joy starts with gratitude. The several things. It starts with the foundational pieces of joy is not about what happens to you, so you teach your kids joy is not about what happens to you. Joy is not about who your friends are. Joy is not about what you own. It's not about your new toy. It's not about your new game. It's not about where we're going. Because as they see you practicing joy, you have to set it up by your own life. Mm-hmm. If you're not able to achieve it in your own life, good luck getting your kids to grab onto it. So you as a mom have to get this settled with God, that you are going to trust Him. And because you trust Him, you're going to have this sense of well-being. And so that's going to affect everything that you and your family go through as they see you practicing gratitude, as they see you going, look, you guys, can you look at that bird? And they'll go, oh, Mom, you are so weird. You go, I know, but you know what? That bird is so incredibly beautiful. It reminds me that God is looking out for us.
Yeah.
And so as you practice joy, practice gratitude, as you begin to show them that your joy is not in the circumstances or what you have or you don't have, as you model it for them, that's the most powerful way to teach. It's the most powerful way we teach anything, for good or for bad, is the way that we model it. So you model it, it begins to be passed on to them. You teach them gratitude, because let me tell you something, a grateful heart is going to be a joyful heart, and a heart that has no gratitude cannot experience joy. So teach them to be thankful and grateful for what they do have, what is given, what they're enjoying, just grateful for the world that they live in. We teach them not to worry, that as they get anxious about something or they get fearful, that we come back around and go, I know, I understand, that's a little scary, isn't it? Or that kind of upsets me too. But you know what? I know that God is looking out for us.
Yeah.
And so they don't start practicing worry, they start practicing trust. As you teach them about non-judgmental love, as you teach them about how you accept them. And so they're not walking around with this load of guilt and shame, unnecessary guilt and shame, but they know they're accepted. They're going to run to this God that you keep talking about, because they know He's going to accept them too. So there's all these things that start with getting it straight yourself, begin to model it, and then don't let them wallow in that misery, but teach them by gently that example of choosing joy. Yes, I understand that. So what can you do today? How can we trust God for that today? So that they start seeing it's a choice, and it's something they have control over.
Yeah. You said like a good grandma, by the way. I know you love your grandbabies. Did that help you, Shelley?
Of course it did.
Yeah. Can you do that?
Oh,
It's hard, but you can. You can.
can.
You can. As I was driving down the hill, Joy, I almost called you Joy. Isn't that wonderful? As I was driving down the hill, Kay, I thought to myself, if all of us, even people who don't believe in God, if somehow we could all get an eternal perspective, where we really did believe, for me, it's really believing in a good God and what he has for eternity, we could all be joyful. So we've got about 7-8 minutes left. I want you to be able to tell people 2 stories that you went through, and I think they're pretty connected so that you can tell them reasonably quickly, about a family struggle that you went through. And be honest, where could you find joy in the midst of that or after that or how that worked out? You went through some near-death experiences.
Yeah, we did. My daughter-in-law, Jamie, was expecting her first baby, and I got the call 5 weeks before her due date that she was heading to the hospital, that her water had broken. And so we went to the hospital, and quickly became clear that the baby was in distress. Did an emergency C-section, but he had a little bit larger than normal head, thanks to his mom and thanks to her dad. So this genetic predisposition to a little bit larger head, but they didn't make enough. They didn't account for that in the C-section, and so they didn't cut an opening large enough to take the baby, and so he got stuck. And so he was without oxygen for a while, and they had to bag him, is the term. All we knew is we're waiting on the other side of that operating room door is it's taking a long time. And finally, we got the word that he had nearly died. Cole had nearly died, and they'd had to resuscitate him. He was, and that was just so shocking because you just never expect that. You go in, it's supposed to be like clockwork. You have the baby, you come home, everything's wonderful, you have a great life. And here we were teetering on the edge of he nearly died.
Yeah.
And that was shocking. And so we kind of lived with that every day. We'd pick him up and just hug him closer because he nearly died. And his mom, Jamie, didn't recover very quickly, and we couldn't figure why. We just thought, okay, it was the effects of the C-section. She just wasn't herself. I don't know, she just wasn't herself. And so about 6 weeks after Cole was born, Jamie started having these weird symptoms that just got worse. She had double vision, and they sent her to the ophthalmologist, and she had some headaches, and they went to the chiropractor, and then she threw up without being nauseated. And I'm starting to go, I'm a hypochondriac, so I'm starting to go, wait a minute, that's not right, that's not good. Yeah. I bet you she's got a brain tumor. And, of course, nobody was paying attention to me because I'm a hypochondriac.
So am I, Kay, so am I.
But then there was a day in which she said, look, I can't walk straight. And she showed me laughingly how she couldn't put her foot in front of each other. And I left her house going, yes, she has a brain tumor. And I rallied all the forces of people I could think of who would call and tell them to get to the hospital. And sure enough, she went that day, and the CAT scan showed she did. She had a tennis ball-sized tumor. So within, days, I mean, she was at a major hospital here in California, UCLA, waiting for brain surgery, 20 hours of brain surgery. And they came back and they said, okay, she's all right. And within an hour or so, they said, oh, she's not all right. She's had a brain bleed. Threw her back in the OR. And the whole time we're expecting she's going to be impaired. She's going to be a vegetable. She's going to have lost everything. And miraculously, she is okay. She lost her hearing in her left ear and, a few other things, but she's okay.
And she gets to be a mom to that baby she had just...
And she gets to be a mom, and now they say that they had to leave a little piece of the tumor on her cerebellum. They can't even find it on the MRIs. It's gone. Awesome. And so, but it just because it could have easily turned out the other way.
Let's be honest. Shelley and I both have a friend who lost their son, and another friend who lost their spouse, and then another friend who lost 3 children. You could have lost them. You were in the midst of looking at losing them, both your grandson and your daughter-in-law. I love that you call her that. Mm-hmm. Where did you find joy? And would have you been able to find joy if that had happened? And you've got about 3 minutes left.
It's summing up everything I've said. It's not about whether Jamie lived or died. It's not about whether Cole lived or died. Would I want them to live? Absolutely. Yeah. Did I beg God to save them? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, whether they lived or didn't live or were impaired or weren't impaired, yeah, that would have definitely been that sorrow track that we were talking about. But even in the deepest sorrow, there is still joy. And it's coming to that place. The Apostle Paul talks about in 2 Corinthians 4:16-18. He says, it's true. Outwardly, we're wasting away. People do die. People do leave us. financial ruin does happen. Those things do happen. But he says, but we focus not on what is temporary, because that's what we see with our eyes, but what is unseen, what is eternal, because that's what's going to last. So I know that that love and joy and peace and patience and goodness and mercy, all of those things are going to last way beyond this life.
Yeah.
So that's where my focus is. It's choosing joy in the middle of, in spite of, or even if my worst nightmare comes true. It's choosing that I trust God, His purposes for my life, that He is good, and that produces that sense of well-being, whether what we want or don't want happens or doesn't happen.
Yeah. Even if we physically turn our bodies to say, I'm just going to turn right now. I mean, that helps me to have something that I physically do. So I love that advice. Kay, I know you're very involved in the cause for AIDS orphans and the HIV and AIDS cause in particular. Can you just talk quickly about what you and Rick are up to, and then how people can get a hold of you? I said we were going to have a tip for busy moms. I don't think we're going to have time, but tell folks, that'll be their tip, how they can get a hold of you and what you're up to with HIV and AIDS.
Yep, come to kwarren.com. Everything that we talk about AIDS, about orphans, about joy. There's 30-day video devotional free. If you were interested in this, go to kwarren.com, sign up for a free 30-day devotional. I'll come and talk to you on your computer about 4 minutes every day for 30 days. Rick and I'm heading to Hong Kong in a couple of weeks for what we call a peace trip. Rick's gallivanting all over the place, but yes, every Christian needs to care about people who are positive, and the best thing that we can do for orphans is to adopt them, give them a permanent mom and dad. Kids aren't made to be raised in an institution. They're made to be raised in families. You'll see my passion for that on kwarren.com.
Yeah. Oh, God bless you for doing that. I do have a little guy named Trevor. We have a couple of orphans over there, but Trevor has AIDS, and he's still alive and doing okay. And he's had it for about 3-4 years, I think. So I'm so grateful for him. He's over in Uganda.
Pray for that precious little boy.
Yeah, I know, I do. My whole family does. Kay, you are a blessing. I hope to have you back sometime, and I wish you and Rick well. And as I said, somebody won your book, and people can buy the way also for the rest of the month. So 2 more days, they can go get your book for free at christianaudio.com/choose-joy-k-warren. Shelley just did it. She loves you so much.
Well, and I read it, so it's me reading the book. So I like that even better. I get to put the expression where I want to.
Yeah, that's awesome. Kay, thank you so much. God bless you. God bless Rick. Thanks for all you do.
Thank you. God bless you as well.
Okay, take
Bye-bye.
care.